mentioned it or not, but we met previous to this meeting in an executive session to discuss personnel matters. And Mr. Adams, would you run
Sure.
through the-
We're gonna, if everybody has a copy of the agenda, for Monday night. Standard items at the beginning, minutes, treasurer's report, approval of bills, general fund, food service, accounting and taxes, student recognition. We will have
Yes.
a number of students, Terry, right?
Yes.
And public recognition. Our enrollment, which we will update that before the meeting. It's been pretty stagnant here for the last few weeks, so we haven't had many enrollments or people moving out. And we will have, Roger, we will have the reentries. We requested that from PDE going back 5 years. So I'll have that data for you on Monday. Item 12 is a retainer with Tahay McAndrew. And Tahay McAndrew does our HR reviews. They do the sign-offs on the 403Bs. They do some things with our
Tuition reimbursements,
and 5,500 forms.
3,500.
And that fee at $4,975 has been the same for a number of years now. So there's no increase on that. I was going to talk a little bit about that in executive session because it is a contract, but bottom line is they've been providing that service for us for a long time, and they're continuing to offer it at the same price that they have for a number of years without any increase.
Excuse me a second. Anyone new to the board have any questions on that one?
They're doing interviews like for HR?
No, they do our HR review things. 403Bs have to have somebody sign off that if you're using the catch-up provision, there's a calculation to do that. The 403B rules changed 5, 6 years ago, maybe more years ago than that, where the superintendent, I have to sign off that it's that each individual is abiding by all the rules. And quite honestly, it's a big job because you have to look at everybody's age, how much they're withholding, did they over withhold, did they under withhold, and is it a qualified plan, and is the provider providing all the things that are required? That's one of them. The 5,500 form review and preparation of the 5,500 that's the pension review, and somebody has to sign off on that. The other things, the cafeteria plan, which they don't have involvement in right now. But there are a bunch of HR functions that are required to have independent review and or sign-offs, and they provide that for us, okay? And they've done a great job. They've been doing school districts and businesses in the area for at least 25 years, probably more than that now. And they do a great job. They're also a company that we may retain in the future for personal benefit statements. A few years from now, and we may be putting together, here is what you as an individual employee, what your total cost that's borne by the school district is. Because most people don't know that. Most people don't know that. They just see what their net take home is and think that that's the only cost. And the reality is, add 35% to that plus. So it was something that was done at other school districts around us prior to getting out information to employees prior to contract negotiations for the future. It might be something that we want to take a look at. And they're excellent at that. I have personal experience with them from a number of years back. They did a great job. But right now, this was for the 5500s and the 403B and the 990s that they helped us with. Okay. Item 13, school calendar. What's going around in that direction is 15-16 current school calendar. And here is, I'm going this direction, and it looks the same, so grab one of each, the 16-17. Okay? I will start before you receive it, but the concept is we're trying to put out, because we have the energy conservation construction project, which includes the roofs and the lighting retrofits and all the other things that we're looking at As part of that contract, we're in the process of gathering the information now, and we've been talking about this for the last 5 months. But because of that, and especially with the high school roof and middle school roof and potential rooftop units, I'm suggesting for next year, this year we started school on the 26th of August, which is the earliest we've ever started. For next year, I'm suggesting we don't start school until the Tuesday after Labor Day, which is September 6th. Gives us an extra week and a half to finalize the construction. The worst thing for me to have happen here is to have a crane hanging over the building, putting a rooftop unit on at the same time we were trying to bring kids in. And so I want to have the opportunity to have the extra time to finalize all the things that we're going to do in the construction process. And what that will do is it will only, if you look at the rest of the calendar, the only other things that change dramatically are this year we have 7 Act 80 days, which means 7 days we send kids home at noon, and we do professional development for teachers. Next year, we're proposing only to do 2 of those instead of 7. And secondarily, building 3 snow days into the calendar, because, you know, traditionally, we went back the last 15 years, we've had as high as 15, we've had as low as 2, and this year we don't have any so far, so we're you know, bucking the trend. But on average, it's been 8. And if we build 3 into it immediately, that gets us graduating on June 9th, which is about when we always ended up graduating anyway. And then secondarily, if we have to, and we use more than 3, we have the opportunity to take Martin Luther King Day and bring it back as a school day. We have the opportunity to take Monday of President's Week and bring that in as a school day. We have the opportunity for Easter Monday and potentially Good Friday. So there's 4 total school days, and then there's an extra teacher in service day that we moved up. Instead of being after graduation, we moved it to the day before graduation so that we could make sure that we have time to do the grading and all the other things that we need to do to pack up to send the kids off. So there are 5 extra days that if we happen to need 8 snow days, we have them built in the calendar. We just pull vacation days away, okay? And so that being the case, that would give us 8, and 8 has been the average over the last 15 years. If we use 12 or 15, then we have to extend the school year a week, or we come on Saturdays. But going to Tuesday after Labor Day gives us that extra week and a half in the construction that we'll be doing the renovations. And the big issue is the roof and the rooftop units. The lighting retrofit's not nearly as critical, but we want to make sure that we have enough time. And I'd rather err on the side of being conservative and have the roof done, and as opposed to then, like Honesdale did this year, they had this 2 days before school, they had to notify we're not having school, and we're not having it for a week and a half. I want us to sort of head that off and say, look, you know, there's a good chance we're going to get out of school earlier than we have in a long time because of the way the utilization of snow days, because we haven't had to use any, and I want to have that extended period of time. And we will know where we are with the construction and what needs to be done by May, and I really want to make sure that we have any extra time we can possibly build in for that construction process. And this has us still graduating roughly at the same time that we have historically anyway. It's a year that Christmas falls on a Sunday, I believe, and so we get out on Friday. And New Year's is on a Sunday, so we're back in school on Monday. There's 2 less days in holiday in the middle there as well. So that's what we're proposing for now. And again, think about it, we have another week, and we don't necessarily have to approve this in February. We can put this off, but it is something that's quite a bit different than what we've done in the past, just because of going after Labor Day instead of the week before.
You'll make the fair people happy, Keene's happy.
Yeah,
because they've been-
I was thinking about
Right,
getting
yeah.
Keene.
First time that we're
Yeah.
able to do this in
Keene
a
Lodge.
long time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They've always been
They've always
around,
been
so-
here asking us to start after Labor Day, so.
so
Yeah.
They won't have to ask.
And
No.
then And we're doing it specifically because of construction, but the benefit is, kids will have an opportunity to make an extra week's worth of wages, and the employers in the area that use kids as part of their labor pool will be able to service their customers, you know, with our kids still working. And colleges will all be back. So, I mean, the labor pool gets really difficult for the resort world. And at the last, you know, the
And
last
at the
few
end of the year,
quarters.
you can make revenue on those water buckets that Matt told me when he was in charge of the high school, they had to be battling them out in the hallway and all that. Catch the water coming down, right?
Oh, yeah. Joe,
So-
the only thing I'd like to say, especially with the built-in snow days,
Mhm.
with the ability for the schedule to change, and I've always been a proponent of this even as a student, is that on the 180th day of the school year, the kids should graduate on the 180th day of the school year. The practice of graduating on a Friday, as a student and as a school board director now, has never made 1 ounce of sense to me whatsoever. And in talking with educators and talking with people, students, families,
Mhm.
people would rather graduate on the 180th day. They don't want to have a schedule either extended, or they don't want to have a schedule warped to you know, have that Friday graduation when they want to graduate on the 180th day.
Okay.
The only discussion we always had with that was that grandparents, people were able to come in for that weekend, so we tried to do it on a Friday and all that, and make it work for the students that were graduating, their grandparents or around town. So, I see your point.
Yeah,
Joe.
I think that what we're trying to, and I agree with both of you, what we're trying to do here is to say, you know, realistically, our current calendar has us graduating on May 25th. Now, when we did that last year in February, the chances of us graduating on May 25th are slim and none. That means we used no snow days, 0.
That's our pace now.
Yeah, but that's our pace now, so we're
We'll talk
lucky.
about it.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
wanna jinx
yeah.
it, but-
I don't want, you know, and, you know, I've only had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I think 5 times total all year. It's amazing. It should be way more than that. But what happens is if we already tell everybody, here is the Friday of graduation, under the current schedule, which includes 3 snow days and then 5 other days that we can grab, there's a good, and it's been our 15-year history of averaging using 8 days, that might give grandma and grandpa who are from out of town quite an opportunity to know that, wow, are they gonna do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, what week? There's a really good chance, regardless of what happens, that we'll hit that Friday, June 9th. And which is, to me, a little bit reassuring for grandparents, knowing that, okay, I can get my flight ticket in May, because I don't know, or in April, because I don't know exactly when graduation's gonna be. And I just think that it gives everybody a greater chance that we're gonna hit our graduation date on the actual date that we say in the calendar that we're gonna graduate.
And still be the 180.
And still 100, and that will be the 180th day. And if, you know, and if by chance we have 1 extra day, okay, well, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna have the teacher in service day on Thursday beforehand. Do we extend Easter to a 5-day weekend instead of a 4-day weekend if we
You
have
can
to?
do a Saturday at the end of the year when you get close. anyway,
Exactly,
if you had to.
and we've done that in the past, and schools have done that in the past.
My only argument against it is if we're going to change it and extend a holiday to get to a Friday, why don't we actually just live within the reality of what a school district calendar is when the 180th day fall, then we graduate?
Yeah.
Because that's what other school districts do.
Yeah.
There's not many that have a practice of graduating on a set day in June, or what have you, especially in our area due to the magnitude of snow. So,
Yeah, well, that's up, I mean, that's, either way is fine by me. I do know that at Walpolpack, they graduate on a Friday.
I know
And-
Andy
That was,
Phelan was pretty adamant because of the potential for accidents over, you know, if they're graduating on a Monday or Tuesday, they're out partying heavily on that weekend prior to that.
Yeah.
Something happens, it makes graduation a big
I think
deal.
Wayne Islands does it on the weekend, like a Saturday.
They do it Saturday.
Saturday.
They do it Saturday, regardless of where it falls.
Right.
they do it in the afternoon too.
Yep, they do it in the
Yeah, they do it
afternoon.
in the
They do it in the afternoon on a
It's
Saturday.
more of a family thing than the family is all in and
Everybody
they're.
values
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we, you know, that's the recommendation, so we all have it, and we have, you know, if we wanna act on it on Monday, we can, if we wanna put it off till March, that's no big deal either. But I
I'm
just,
okay with
that's
it.
a,
Might as
that's a
well get it
different,
done. We
that's a
usually wait later
different,
than
but
this.
just that's a substantially different calendar than we've had in a long time.
I would just say, let's not feel the pressure of having to start on that day, because Holmesdale had that problem as, they felt that they had to start on that Monday, you know, and then Thursday afternoon it broke, and oh my lord.
Yeah,
It was the
crazy.
guillotine coming down on everyone's head
Yeah,
over there.
yeah.
I mean, people
And,
did that, then they had to make arrangements for childcare, they had to,
Exactly.
you know, they had to rearrange jobs, I mean, it was real difficult.
Just a little further out with foresight.
Yeah.
When it comes to the true status of the
Yep.
project, because it is a big project, as we all know.
Yep.
That'll be coming, so.
Yeah, and if we know, you know, we're gonna press whoever the general is, the general contractor in charge, it's like 2 weeks before school starts, minimum.
Good
Are
luck.
we making it or are we not making it? And if we're not making it, we're gonna immediately, you know, get together and back it off. We're not gonna wait till Thursday night, for Monday. It just, you know, so.
It's nightmarish.
And you know what, it's not rocket science, but, you know, we've now had the opportunity to learn from somebody else's difficult
I think Mid Valley
times.
had the same problem with their elementary school down there. I think with Pat this year, I believe, and they had the same scenario where it wasn't ready.
Yeah.
But
And so, you know, that's the reason for the new
with the
calendar.
roof, it should go a lot smoother anyway, as long as they.
We're hoping, but
Yeah.
it's a big roof, I mean, there's a lot of square footage here, and it's a tear off, and it's a ballast roof, so it's all, that river rock has to
Well,
be.
the manpower they bring in would be the important part.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and the timing and the bonding and all that kind of stuff, so, you know, I just wanted to make sure that we.
very important part
Yeah,
also.
that we had that. And in the Act 80 days, we're only proposing 2 of them. You know, I'm a personal believer that Act 80 days really, although we need to have professional development, they really throw a cog into the wheel of the community with parents having to do, you know, arrange for childcare, getting their kids home at noon, just so that we can have 2 hours of educational time with the staff.
That was something that a parent had come to me about. Why do we have to have it 12 and 1? Why can't we just pick 1 o'clock and be done with it on an early hour?
Well, 1 o'clock on an early out with an Act 80 day between bringing the people from the staff, giving the staff time from Evergreen and from Waymart to get here, from RD to get here. Then we don't start till 1:30 and they're done at 3:30. It doesn't give us enough time. But there is a thought, and we do have an ability to early out for weather at noon or 1, depending on what the need is. But that's always made as a decision at 9:30 or 10:30 on that morning. But we do the Act 80s at noon just so we get the extra hour if we're gonna do it, you know, an extra hour of educational time for 170 staff members is way more important, you know, if we're gonna disrupt the community than an hour difference of the timing. But, you know, and believe me, we're trying our darndest not to have any and be able to get the educational time elsewhere, but we're bound by the contract's the contract. And there are a lot more educational things that are required that have been added along the way, you know, suicide prevention. We have to do X number of hours in the next couple of years, and there are a whole bunch of other required things that have come from us, from the state and from people and from the federal government that we have to do. We don't have the time in the contract to do it. So, but you know, we're doing our best to work around it and not inconvenience the public as much as, you know, 7 Act 80 days do right now, and that's a lot. You know, a lot of schools have done away with them, other than a couple. And our Act 80 days here were Veterans Day, and Friday before President's Week in February. Those were the 2 that we had put in the calendar, and eliminate the other ones. We have another one coming up here in 20th of, you know, we have one the 12th of February, and then we have one the 9th of March, and then we have another, and that's it for the other, so that will be our 7th. Okay? Questions, comments on that? Good point, thanks, Roger. Our auditor, we do have a contract proposal for our auditor for a 5-year period for $1,000 more, from going from 21-4 to 22-4, and then staying there for the remaining 4 additional years. So a $1,000 increase in year 1, and then staying at 22-4 for years 2, 3, 4, and 5. That will, I'm recommending. I think Kelly does a good job, has done a good job for us, and it's very reasonably priced. And having one increase spread out over a 5-year period is attractive as well. Okay, the substitute list will have a couple of new subs. The per diem rates, we will get to that later, but we have to set rates for substitute teachers, substitute teacher A, substitute secretaries, homework help, and the security, constable and security as well. And we can either make that effective immediately, February 1st, or whenever we act on it, or for the 16-17 school year. That's for further discussion after we're done here. We do have a resignation. Kim Waters is retiring effective February 10th from the Evergreen School. We have a resignation of an assistant girls soccer coach for the 16-17 school year, and an assistant softball coach for this school year, resignation as well. Then we have a couple of volunteers, then other personnel things that we'll talk about after we're done that will be added. And then there's upcoming events, the competition at the high school, the middle school, winter ball, Read Across America, the 2 early dismissals, the Easter break, and the science fair at R.D. Wilson. We have pre-kindergarten and kindergarten registration set for the week of March 21st at R.D. Wilson and Evergreen. We do have a student teacher from Summit University to approve, and then the other reports, correspondence, superintendents, assistant superintendents, principals, federal and other business, with future meetings being February 29th. Oh, that will be the next board meeting. Yeah, that will be the committee meeting for the next board meeting. We actually have a board meeting Monday night, February 1st, and then March 7th is the next board meeting after that. And we did hold an executive committee meeting before this meeting and after this meeting. Any questions? Yes. Yep.
Back to volunteers, or any coaches, you have Elizabeth Musso resigning as assistant softball coach, and you have her requesting to be
She can't commit to the full amount of time to be a paid coach, but she wants to be involved with the kids in the community. Joe Romo really wants her to be involved in it, but she just can't commit because of, for every single day. That was the reason for that.
Could we have a replacement for her?
Yeah, we're working on that. Yeah, we're working on that.
It's close.
It is.
It's close.
It's March 15th.
I know he won't allow that, so I shouldn't even ask. That's a redundant question.
Sorry, that's close. Any other questions on the agenda? Yeah. We did, and this was something that was put together by Terry Blum and Paul along with Matt. We're looking potentially, and just want to give you a heads up and get your opinion on it, of having a senior early dismissal. And what that means is if somebody's met all the educational requirements and attendance and citizenship and doing all the things as a good student and has met all of those things, will we give them the opportunity to get out of school early for a number of reasons?